Welcome back to the F1 2018 Career Mode here, and you join me for the Season 3 Austrian Grand Prix at the Spielberg circuit, the Red Bull Ring, the A1 Ring, whatever you want to call it. It's the shortest circuit, maybe, on the calendar. I think well, I don't know actually for mileage now, actually, if it's smaller than Monaco. But we will see the quickest lap time of the whole year here this weekend in qualifying, and it's going to be dry in quali, but the race looks like it's going to be a little bit damp at the end. So following on obviously from the last episode where we did some upgrades, another major chassis upgrade, they'll be coming into effect for the British Grand Prix next time out. Red Bull don't bring an upgrade this weekend. They have now slipped behind Force India, who now bring themselves up to equal pecking with Mercedes. And then lower down, Toro Rosso have jumped Haas and McLaren and move ever closer to Ferrari, who are still plateauing off. So for the first time this season, we're actually going to swap out some components. This is pretty much an all-power circuit. It's got pretty much just for the main first sector is all about power, and then it's a lot of long corners in the second sector. But yeah, new components, fresh components, push the car harder. That's what we're going to do in quali.
Thank you for joining us once again for today's qualifying session. Sit back, relax, and enjoy what we hope will be a fantastic contest for pole position.
And that fantastic quest for pole position comes out now as we're going to set our fastest or first lap of the session. It's a 103.9 on the first man into the 103s, pipping out Valtteri Bottas and Daniel Ricciardo. Wasn't satisfied with that though, figured I could go faster. So here's the end of my second lap, utilising all the runoff area, but through the final couple of corners, DRS open. It's going to be just over an 1/10 improvement, but it's a 103.8. So that was my second lap. We have one more set of Ultra Softs left, and I figured, what the hell, I've got one more left in me. So here it is, the fastest lap of the whole weekend starts now. We go through big clump of curb at turn 1, use the curb on the exit, stay committed, use DRS up the hill. We're already a 10th up on our fastest time so far. Then going into turn 2, you hit the brakes at the 100-meter board, kiss the apex, try and keep it straight on acceleration. I didn't, unfortunately, but still it looks as if that's been okay for our Delta as we now charge down towards turn 4. This is you brake just after 100 meters, feed it in, use the curb, try not to run it out too wide, and don't use the curb on exit. It will hamper your acceleration. We then have the blind turn 5 where you just sort of have to chuck it in, wait for the front end to stick. When it does, you flat out put it on the power, and then the long left-hander again, followed up by another long right-hander, which is fully committed. Maximum attack now as we head towards the final couple of corners. Ericsson is on the apex. We've had to back out of it and use the curb on exit, but through the final corner, kissed the apex better than we did last time around. It's going to be over a 4/10 improvement, and it's a 103.3. We've obliterated our last lap, but where will that leave us? Cars come out for their final run for Sunday.
Good afternoon and welcome to Spielberg, and to a circuit that in one form or another has held every Austrian Grand Prix in the championship, except the very first back in 1964. It was at this race that John Watson lost a bet and his beard when he took Team Penske's only F1 victory in 1976. If anything, the stakes are even higher today, with 25 points available for victory and a crucial advantage in the championship fight. The Spielberg circuit then is situated 700 metres above sea level, with just 10 corners making up one of the shortest laps of the season. One time around here is a distance of 2.6 miles, with the best overtaking chances into turn 1 or the tight uphill turn 3. Anthony Davidson joins me again for the race today. Let's talk about the captain. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
They've been avoiding mistakes and have had solid pace, so it's been a good season so far, but whether they can keep that up long term remains to be seen.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. The captain lines up on pole position, and it's Esteban Ocon in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Perez, Daniel Ricciardo, and Verstappen, Hülkenberg, Vettel, Raikkonen, and Brendan Hartley. Sainz, Alonso, Pierre Gasly, and Magnussen. Stroll, Ericsson, Charles Leclerc, and Sergei Sirotkin. Van Dorn and Roman Grosjean starts from the back of the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So there we have it, pole position for the Austrian Grand Prix. I really felt I deserved that one with that final lap, and to think without Ericsson being in the way, I think we could have gone even faster. But nonetheless, it should be, emphasis on should be, a simple one-stop, and it really depends when the rain comes. And I'm taking a bit of a gamble here, and I'm going to underfuel the car by 1 lap, thinking I'll gain it back when the rain comes. But if we run in standard or high, we're gonna lose a bit of fuel. Yeah, I don't really want to run out of fuel. But here's the setup that we've been running for this weekend. It's predominantly a dry setup, so when it comes to the wet, I don't quite know how the car is going to behave. Apparently it's going to be light rain for a little while and then absolutely chuck it down in the last 5 laps or so. So I'm a little concerned. I know we won in the wet in France, but I still don't feel my performance is up to par and up to scratch in wet weather conditions. But we will need to see how that goes. What's important for us is to lead the way and build a gap during the dry weather period of the race. So we've gone over the setup. We've set our fastest lap of the season so far. All we can do is build with the lights. 5 are on at Spielberg for the Austrian Grand Prix. Lights are out and away we go. It's a run up to turn 1 and it's going to be Esteban Ocon taking that corner first. We swing to the outside, try and get a better exit than the Frenchman, which is exactly what we do. Perez has got a better run through turn 1 than Valtteri Bottas. He is up to 3rd, Bottas down to 4th. We will bang with Esteban Ocon as we now go up towards turn 3. We once again try and go wide, get the better exit, hold position so far over the Frenchman, but that Force India just moves out of corners, and as it goes up the speed, he has clearly got position over me. I don't think we're going to be able to hang it around the outside successfully this time. No, unfortunately we can't. Ocon muscles us out of the way for P1. We are forced to drop to P2 with Sergio Perez P3. Then Valtteri Bottas back behind him in 4th, and then comes a Red Bull and a Renault. But we're up behind Ocon. We're going to potentially get a run. The penultimate corner isn't really an overtaking opportunity. We have a little look. We remind him that we're there and go, hey, you're not leaving us behind in this race. We've taken a very odd line through the final corner. That's cost us a bit of time, but Ocon leads the way only by 3/10. Perez, though, up behind me. Is he going to think about having a go into turn 1? I left the door open, but Perez thought better of it. In fact, he's put himself more into a striking range of Valtteri Bottas. Already on lap 2, by the way, up towards turn 3 once again. But Ocon now with a bit more of a lead, and we're just going to have to sit tight, be a little bit patient. Its opportunity will show itself as we, on the second lap, set the fastest lap of the race into the 106s. And if you remember, in last year, we were trying to get into the 106 at the end of the Grand Prix. We're easily doing that at the start of the race, but we have got slipstream, DRS, and more importantly, the faster car. We dive down the inside of Esteban Ocon at the start of lap 3 into turn 3. In fact, we even purposely ran wide to make sure he couldn't cut back underneath us, but he has still got a good exit, and he is now on the outside towards turn 4. Can Ocon make the comeback move stick? We're going to turn, nearly contact between the two cars, nearly the tyre faces rubbing against each other, but unfortunately he has not been able to keep me behind, and come the end of lap 6 we have easily broken the DRS. In fact, Ocon has fallen behind Sergio Perez now, who's up to 2nd. So we're just running standard at the moment, still in the 106s. Obviously a 106.5 is our best lap. We have a quick look at the tyres. Come lap 8, they're at 30 or so %, but sky's looking a little grey. I don't like that. That leads me to believe the rain is coming sooner than anticipated. Will it come in time for us to be able to make a pit stop straight to intermediates? Perez certainly doesn't think so. Perez pits end of lap 10. So does Valtteri Bottas. So they will both be in for dry weather tyres. We always intended in coming in end of lap 11 anyway. It's come to lap 12. We haven't come in yet, and it's a good thing we hadn't, because here is the rain. Now, Ocon hasn't pit yet, and Verstappen hasn't pit yet. It's very light rain, but it's here. Now, how soon will it rain?
Let's be mindful of the conditions. The track is getting wetter. Recommend you stay out for now, though. We'll be much slower if we move on to inters this early.
So Jeff sort of giving us a little bit of an insight there. You know, how soon till it's wet enough for intermediates? You can see the car running wide there through the long left-hander on exit, but we're 8 seconds ahead of Ocon. It's now the end of lap 13. These tyres running out of life and running out of grip, as you see with how wide I'm going through the final corner, and we're in to the 108s now, but I'm not going to pit yet. We're now into the 1 minute 10s as we move on to lap 15. We are now 4 laps over where we were going to pit.
I know these conditions are tough, but bear with it. I don't think the track is ready for intermediates yet.
And we see another message from Jeff there saying that the track is not quite ready for intermediates. We move on. We're another lap later, and still I haven't pit. Still Ocon hasn't pit. Still Verstappen has not pit. Look at the tyres. 60 or so % worn, and there's just in these conditions there's absolutely nothing left. I can barely slow the car down, I can barely turn the car in, so much so I've made the executive decision to come in at the end of lap 16. I figured now's a better time than any. If I go one more lap, could I potentially stick it in the wall? So even though we haven't got DRS disabled, Ocon carries on the ultra soft for one more lap. Yeah, even though we haven't got the telltale sign of DRS being disabled, I'm still coming in. Verstappen has fallen behind Sergio Perez. In fact, he's battling with Sergio Perez, allegedly. I don't know where Perez is now on the mini-map. There's Verstappen and there's Bottas. So we come out on the intermediate tyre, and would you look at that? Esteban Ocon is in the pits. So is Verstappen, so is Bottas. They're coming in for the intermediates. That's exactly what Ocon has fit to the car. And I think we came in at the perfect time, in all honesty, because we now have the momentum. Our tyres are more up to temperature as the track comes to the intermediate. So Ocon's going to retain P2. Bottas ahead of Verstappen. Can he pull ahead? No, Perez moves up into third place now. A vicious battle going on for P3, but we have the gap. What is the gap going to be?
The gap behind us is 11.3 seconds.
So we've got it fairly comfortable now, back to the Force India of Esteban Ocon, even though we make a mistake into turn 4. We take a big old cut now, lap 20. We're flicking through this Grand Prix very, very rapidly, but when we've got the gap, when it's this comfortable, there's not really much to show you apart from, you know, taking too much curb and making a mistake through turn 1. Ocon does have the lead down to 9.7 seconds, and come the end of lap 25, we're in the 114s. The team are asking me to come in again. I don't really see the point. I can see us taking these inters all the way to the end of the race. What is the gap? It's 9.9 to Ocon, so I've pegged him. Lap 30 now. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but the rain's a little bit heavier now. This is the point where I'd said it's absolutely going to chuck it down for the last 6 laps. You can see the lack of grip I've got through the final corner. We're going to come across the line, and it's a 1:14.9, so the times are going to start going up. As you can see, I'm having to be a lot more cautious through turn 1 and a lot more opposite lock.
We're reaching the point where you're going to start aquaplaning with those tyres. We think you're all right for now, but it might not be long before we switch to the full wets.
So you can even see another lap later, it's a hell of a lot heavier with the rain, and we're on very worn intermediate tyres. So much so, we move on to lap 32, and we're already 2.4 seconds down through the first sector. A lot more standing water. We've gone straight on at turn 3. We're going to have to recover to the road, and Ocon is now only 8.2 seconds behind me, so we really have to get a move on, but there's just little to no grip. I'm barely even closing in on the Toro Rosso and McLaren ahead of me.
Just about time to come and change these tyres.
So you can see it there again, Jeff telling us it's time to change tyres. We're in the 1:19s now, and very slippery through turn 1. We've got 8 seconds back to Esteban Ocon with 4 laps remaining And you know what? He's bloody closing in on me because we move on to lap 35. And the gap to Ocon down to 5.4. Look at the way we have to drift through turn 1. We've made no inroads on the Toro Rosso and the McLaren ahead of me. In fact, I've got a Ferrari of Vettel in 17th place. He had an awful Grand Prix trying to unlap himself. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go straight on at turn 3 and go, look, there you go, Sebastian. You're more than welcome to make that move as we aquaplane off the circuit. But look at how close Esteban Ocon is now. And we're on the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix. I've got absolutely no grip and I've got absolutely no hope. Look at the way I'm having to control the car, and just look at how close he's got now. He's within a second of me coming through the final sector. So similar to Russia last year, it's absolutely chucked it down. We're on the wrong tyre. Everyone's on the wrong tyre, but the AI has been able to manage it much better than I have. Thankfully, we just about tippy-toe through the final couple of corners. We are going to come across the line and win the Austrian Grand Prix, but only just.
Great drive. We did it. Good job.
And here are our podium drivers today after that excellent race. They've excelled here, as they so often do, and it's a well-deserved victory. Mercedes, then, are on top today.
So there we have the Austrian Grand Prix. We only just about win it in treacherous conditions. I'm so glad we built that lead that we did over Esteban Ocon. Only 6/10 separated us in the end, and Sergio Perez does retain P3 for a Force India 2-3. Valtteri Bottas brought it home 4th, with Verstappen 5th for Red Bull at the Red Bull Ring. But he was really nowhere between himself and Raikkonen in 6th place, getting points on the board for Ferrari, but once again a torrid weekend for the Scuderia. So they really need to bring some upgrades to their car. Daniel Ricciardo drops the former championship leader down to 7th, loses a lot of points to me. Carlos Sainz gets a solid result for Renault in 8th place. Romain Grosjean pulled off a fantastic one-stop to go from 20th to 9th. And Stoffel Van Dorn from McLaren picks up some points. Moving on to the driver's standings, we move on. We are now 26 points ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. A whole race win in the lead. And some over the Australian. That is a lovely little cushion to have. Let's maintain that, shall we, over the rest of the season. But if we go on to the constructors side of things, you will see that the deficit between Red Bull and Mercedes has dropped to 3 points. So hopefully we will overtake them at the next race, my home Grand Prix, the British Grand Prix. But let's talk about the Austrian Grand Prix with Claire.
Good day today. Tell us about it from your perspective. Was there really any competition for you today?
If the rain hadn't come, I'd have won this race by about 4 years. in all honesty, but no, honestly, the car's great.
You must be happy with the result today.
Bit of a stupid question. Of course, I'm happy with every win, 3 in a row. But yeah.
How do you feel the weather affected the outcome today?
One more lap, it would have dramatically affected the outcome. But it didn't dampen my spirits. We still got the race win.
It was more like Dodgems than Formula 1 today, wasn't it?
Well, I think you can't be too critical of my driving. You saw me go straight on several times, even though I felt I braked comfortably.
Appreciate your time.
And there we have the Austrian Grand Prix. Once again, a bit of a shorter video because there really wasn't much to show. I was dominating that race until the rain came down at the end, especially in the heavy weather. But still a solid win, 3 in a row. Can we make it 4 in a row at the British Grand Prix next time out? You will have to wait and see. I hope you have enjoyed today's video, guys. If you have, please leave a like down below and comment any feedback, of course. If you want to be kept up to date with the content that comes to the channel, remember to subscribe and enable those notifications. As I've already said, next time out is the British Grand Prix. Can we right the wrongs that we have had several times? We've had multiple poor British Grand Prix over over the past couple of seasons. So let's try and make it a good one, shall we? I shall see you all next time.